Good morning, my dear students. Let's have a review of what we learned in the last sessions. The last session we looked at the history of marketing, the marketing philosophies that were existing at that particular time. So we looked at the production era, we looked at the product era, we looked at the sales era, we looked at the marketing era, then we looked at the relationship marketing era and how relationship marketing is going to determine the firm's future. We looked at the philosophies that were prevalent at that particular point of time, the production orientation, which was there 1920. Then we looked at the product concept, the product orientation, wherein making the best product was the prevailing philosophy or the standard of the industry. Then we looked at the sales orientation, wherein the products were pushed towards the customer or pushed into the market. So this is the fast selling, fast talking salesperson. That is the era which they are the gift of that particular era. Then we looked at the marketing orientation, market orientation, and then we looked at the societal marketing orientation. So wherein the organization is a part of the society and it works for the benefit of the society at large. Today we're going to learn about some of the core concepts of marketing. You already have a basic idea about these particular topics, but we're going to understand them better because these are the founding concepts which actually would lay the foundation of understanding marketing in the right way. So that's the reason we are emphasizing on this particular topic. Need, want, demand, and then customer value. This is what we're going to look at today. Right? These form a circular moment wherein need, wants, and demand that would lead to something which is called as market offers, services, or experience, which would lead to value and satisfaction, which would lead to exchange and relationships, and that would lead to markets. Needs. We all very well understand need, but if you actually go and understand the nature of a need is very basic. Okay, need is something very basic without which you cannot live. So I'll be explaining the various types of need which are very basic. You all know it, but in today's scenario, need and want have been so interconnected, or it's hardly you could actually find out a difference between what a need is and what a want is. So need is something which is absolutely basic. Without, if your need is not being satisfied, you won't be able to survive. This is what need is. These are the various needs which are absolutely necessary. You've got water, which is a basic physical need of life, and without water you cannot exist. So this you can live without water from to 3 days, but after that it's really going to be difficult. Oxygen, so you need oxygen to breathe, and without that you cannot survive. Then you need sun. You need the sun so you need some heat to basically maintain your internal body temperature, and food. So that gives you energy for you to work. So basically, food is one of the basic necessities. We talked about this: food, clothing, and shelter. Then we need to sleep. Without proper sleep, you won't be able to survive. So there are many problems there. There are cases where people can go to sleep without sleep for quite some time, but a normal person cannot live without sleep, having sound mind and body. Then the next basic need is procreation. So basically, one of the basic needs for humans is to procreate or to reproduce. And then you've got communication. So without communicating, man being a social animal, one of the basic needs is basically to communicate. Although in today's scenario the communication mediums have changed, but we find many examples when people, if they are not communicated for a lot of time, they'll have mental and physical issues, and you cannot survive without communicating for a long period of time. So communication is one of our basic needs. We look at wants. Now, these wants are not something which is absolutely necessary. You're not going to die if your want is not satisfied. But wants basically add color to life. It is a sense of lacking something. So, want is a step further than the need. Say, for example, you have all that you require to survive, but you would always love to play games, you would have toys, you would want to have vacations, and all these things are basically are wants of a person which add color to life, and you will have certain amount of discomfort if your wants are not being satisfied. This is what the want concept is. I'd like to further explain the difference between a want and a need. Need is something that is necessary for a person to survive. Want, on the other hand, refers to something that a person desires, either right now or in the future. So you would want a car. You might need it now, or you would require it in the future. So basically, want is not something that you really need it now. It can be deferred to a further date. If a particular need is not met, then the person would be suffering with a certain sort of illness or even death. So lack of a need being satisfied would lead to definite consequences in physical suffering and death. And wants and desires are optional, meaning if you would still be able to survive, even if your wants are not being satisfied. This takes us to the next concept, desire. Desire is a craving that if you don't have something, it's a stronger word than want. So if you don't have something, it's a feeling of extreme passion for want of something. Okay, this is what desire would be. The verb desire usually means to long for, to ask for, to demand, or maybe it may be used in a good or bad sense. The common phrase normally used is a burning desire. So, in fact, it could be represented as you burn in a desire. So that's what the meaning of this word desire is. I'd like to present an example for this is you need food, right? So food, you could have dal roti or anything else, but you would want to have pizza and french fries. This is a need being translated into a want. Further, you would have a burger in a five-star hotel. This could be a desire which you could. So this actually is, I mean, if you talk about it in a degree of, it's an order of increase. So need is very basic, then want is just above it, and then you've got desire which is above it. So on the other side, need is absolutely basic. Want is you can still survive without it, and desire is basically it won't be compulsory for you to have it, right? So demand for a burger would translation into a want as per. Demand for a burger, demand for a burger would rise from the need for food, and then it should be backed with a willingness to pay. So we look at what actually demand is in a more detailed thing. This is how Maslow actually came up with his hierarchical motivation. So need is a functional need which is very basic, which you need to survive. Want is important for the physical benefit of a person, and desire is emotional satisfaction. So you go from tangible to intangible. This is how you're going to move forward. Now let's look at what demand is. Desire plus the ability to buy. Now here I'm using desire as a representative of all the desires of the customers, right? So please don't confuse because desire plus the ability to buy would come would lead to what is called as demand in the market. So, but it doesn't mean that all the desires would be uh, the willingness also needs to be there. So there's one more important factor which you need to understand here is desire plus the ability to buy and the willingness to pay for whatever desire you've got, that translates to demand for a particular product. Now, human wants that are backed by buying power are basically called demand. That's what a demand, and um, that adds to most value and satisfaction. There's one more definition of demand. Demand is the want or a desire or process for a good or to possess a good or service that is necessary, would be services or financial instruments necessary to make a legal transactions. It's pretty stereotype, but demand is basically a want, a need, want, or a desire backed by the buying power plus the willingness to pay, right? This is what we try to understand. So let's look at this graph. So needs, if you talk for here in the first graph, you've got something which is called a basic need, psychological needs, and self-fulfillment needs. That would translate into wants. It depends on the culture and the individuality of the person, and then that would translate into buying power. That's demand of the person. Here I'd just like to give you an overview of how Maslow. We've already known this concept very. This is a very common concept which has been taught in your 10, 12 standard. So basically, Maslow classified the needs into 5 different stages. So what he said is, until and unless the first need is satisfied, you cannot move to the next need. This is what was his estimation. But what he did is, he classified the needs into various stages of, and until and unless the first stage of the need is being satisfied, you don't move into the next phase. This is what his assumption was. This assumption is definitely not true. There are certain contrary views on this. I'll just try to, but this gives you a very clear understanding of what exactly the needs are. It is actually a mix of want, need, and desire. This particular graph, but he classified all of them into what is called as a need. So first he said is the physiological needs, which I've already explained, which are absolutely necessary for you to live. So it's air, water, food, shelter, sleep, clothing, and reproduction. So the next is safety need. It's personal security, employment, resources, health, and property. So we need to feel secured, and insurance is one of the products that has come out of these safety needs. The next one is love and belonging. Without, I mean, why do you live? Basically, you need to have friendship, you need to have a family, you need to have a sense. So that's the communication part of it. So you need to be a part of a society, and that's what the next need, what you classified. The next is the esteem need, wherein self-respect, esteem, status, recognition. So this is basically all the lifestyle products come into this category. And then we have the self-action, to desire to become something of most So whatever you could achieve in your life, the best you could achieve, that is self-actualization. So these are the various phases through which a person goes throughout his life, and the needs and demands are determined by that. Uh, I've already explained this. Just go through it. Yes. Finally, we'll come to what is called as customer value. Now, the customer will pay everything that he finds value in. Okay, that's very important. So, the customer won't pay if he does not find value for whatever product he is buying. So, let's understand the relationship between this, how he makes this particular decision, the relationship between the benefits and the sacrifice. Because when he's buying something, he has to shell out something, so he has to give something. So, he has to make a sacrifice of the cash which is got, or he has to make a sacrifice in terms of choosing an X product over a Y product. So this particular decision making he has to. And what is this decision? How is he going to make this decision? It would be depending on what is the benefits he is receiving from it. Right? Customers, goods and services that are sold at price that they're willing. The customer value is basically the amount the customer is willing to pay for the product. Okay, so that's the price is an indicator of how much would a customer, how much does the product, how much does the customer value the product. Now, there's a trick and there's a very small hitch into it. The customer won't pay equal to what is the value it's going to receive, he's going to receive. Now, he'll always pay that much. I mean, he'll always pay wherein the value of the product is higher than the sacrifice is made. So that's a very rational process which he goes through in terms of he evaluates the product in terms of technical, economical, service part, and social benefit drawn, and then from this product comparison he chooses the next. He chooses the now he'll not just look at one product; he'll look at several products, and from all these products he'll select a product which would give him the maximum benefits at the given price. That's all for today. See you in the next lecture.